Welcome everyone. This is a PIL certification exam prep calculation demonstration. I want to share a couple of certification exam questions, what they'll look like when you're faced with the certification exam, and how to tackle these calculation problems. I don't want you to start freaking out when you see a question and you're not sure where do I begin? Because I have been like that in practicing these certification exams when teaching the students. I freak out every now and then when I see a question and I'm like, and it must be exhaustion because I don't know where to begin. I don't want you all to feel that way. I want you to have so much confidence when you're faced with these calculation questions. So we're going to do several of these and we're going to learn different ways to tackle these problems. And I want you to get comfortable with the way, I keep emphasizing over and over, with the way that you prefer. And then also think of what you don't know. I have a couple of calculations that we want to go through that I didn't know how to tackle the problem. But I started to think about, what do I know? What formulas can I use to figure this out? And it was the long way around, but I still got the right answer. So I can't wait to share that tip with you guys. Let's look at our first problem. A prescriber ordered Solu-Cortef 125 milligram intramuscularly stat, and then Q8H every 8 hours. What we want to look at here, what volume is needed for this dose, given what we have on hand. The doctor ordered 125 milligrams of Solu-Cortef, but our stock label here says we have 250 milligrams of Solu-Cortef in stock. What volume is needed for this dose? When we see the term volume, that lets us know we're looking for a milliliter or a liter. Our answer should not end in milligrams, or it should not end in grams or ounces. We're looking for a volume. So let's look at our given information. The dose ordered is 125 milligrams. Our dose on hand is 250 milligrams per 2 mLs. I got the 2 mLs, it's in the fine print on the stock label. Single dose vial, 2 milliliters of active vial Solu-Cortef. So the whole vial contains 250 milligrams in 200 milliliters. What we need is our dose volume in milliliters. So we'll attempt to utilize a ratio proportion equation to solve for the missing variable in milliliters. We'll set up our ratio proportion equation, setting up our dose on hand on the left-hand side and our dose ordered on the right-hand side. And once again, it doesn't matter which ratio goes on which side. Just try to stay consistent so that when you're tackling these problems, you don't switch it up. Things don't start to look different. You do the same thing every time. So dose on hand on the left, dose ordered on the right. We then cross multiply our 250 milligram stock dose multiplied by our unknown variable of n milliliters. And then we'll multiply our 125 milligram dose ordered by 2 milliliters of the stock dose. That equals 250 milligrams per milliliter. And then the other side, 250 milligrams per unknown milliliters. We then divide both sides by the value that is with our unknown milliliters. So that is 250 milligrams over here on this side with our unknown variable. So we'll divide the left side by 250 milligrams and our right side by 250 milligrams. Next, I want to make this a little bit larger for us. There we go. 250 divided by 250 will cancel out and it'll leave us with X milliliters. And a 250 divided by 250 milligrams. The milligrams cancel out, 250 cancel out. It'll only leave us with our milliliter unit. Therefore, we only have 1 milliliter. Our unknown variable that we're looking for, our unknown volume, equals 1 milliliter. Now, you very well could have solved this problem just by looking at the information given to us, just by looking at the question. It's a very simple question. And if you're very good with math, you could have done the problem in your head. I solved it for those of us who need to see where the numbers are, where the numbers go, and how would you set up this equation if the numbers weren't so simple. Next, I would like to show you another formula that you can use to also maintain and keep it simple. It's actually a formula that a fellow technician shared with me, and I've been sharing it with my students ever since because it has made my life working in the sterile compounding department much simpler. So dose ordered divided by dose on hand times 1 milliliter. That dose on hand concentration must be in the 1 milliliter. It's not listed on the vial here. That dose on hand concentration must be in 1 milliliter. You'll notice some stock labels have a stock concentration dose and a single concentration dose in 1 milliliter. This formula only works if we have that 1 milliliter concentration, but we don't have that here. Our stock dose is 250 milligram per 2 milliliters. What we can do here is just, and notice we have a inversion, a fraction, a ratio in our denominator. To get rid of the ratio in our denominator, we must multiply by the inversion. So we have 125 milligrams per 250 milligrams in our denominator, multiply it by the inversion of 2 milliliters over 1. Essentially in this ratio, there is a 1 over 2 in the ratio. To multiply it by the inversion, it there becomes 2 over 1. And then when you're multiplying ratios, you multiply across numerator, denominator, multiply it by denominator. Remember, if it's setting equal to a ratio proportion set it equal to, you cross multiply. But this is just simple multiplication. We multiply across the numerators, across the denominators. 125 times 2 is 250 milligrams per milliliter. 250 milligrams times 1 is 250 milligrams. Divide 250 milligram divided by 250 milligram cancels out, and it leaves us with the milliliter unit. Therefore, our final answer is 1 milliliter. I was going to make this red to cancel it out. Can we do that? Yay! Cancel out. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, so that leaves us with our final value of 1 milliliter. And we have solved the problem using 2 different formulas. That is it for this question. I can't wait to share another one with you all. I hope you enjoy it, and be sure to check out our other videos.